and fabulously fun.
Is this real life?
Best of all, your comments.
That was a real money saver. Thanks, Randall.
So did it work out for you?
Your hotel tip was spot on.
You're listening to the Eat, Drink, Explore radio network. But don't just sit there. It's an interactive program, honey.
Are you sure this is legal? I don't know. It's fun though, isn't it?
Pick your pleasure. Tweet, chat, post, email, even call us on the telly. Whatever works for you. Our topics today: food, drinks, travel, and a whole lot more fun. So let's pop the cork on this thing and get the party started. Give it up now for our fantastic host, the wonderful and talented Mr. Randall White.
I think that's the champagne talking.
And a very, very good Saturday morning, everyone. Great to have you listening as we discuss the trends, the current ones in food, wine, craft beer, travel, and tourism. We are broadcasting live from downtown, historic downtown San Luis Obispo, here on this Saturday morning. We try to keep it fun, healthy to some degree, sustainable here at Eat, Drink, Explore Radio, so you can get the most out of your precious leisure time, which we never have enough of. All right, our goal is to make sure that you are informed at the end of the show. Just ahead on today's program, we'll learn yoga tips from an expert. And if you're like me and prefer my exercise outdoors, we'll let you in on a weekly, even daily yoga session that takes place in a coastal orchard, also in a spot in downtown San Luis Obispo. Also, we'll introduce you to a new tool for finding healthy restaurants near your location and for easily counting calories. Our travel deals segment takes us to California's many wine regions and some top resorts and lodges currently offering bargain prices. You'll want to tune in for that. And then next hour, we're talking sourdough bread, one of my favorites, a champagne diet. Does that sound good, everyone? Champagne diet? All right. And then a national park full of bubbles. That's right. In fact, that's our compass word, and we'll explain what that is next hour. Bubble is our compass word. Don't forget, you can catch Eat, Drink, Explore Radio on the go via your Apple or Android device with our handy app. We're getting lots of great comments on it, and it's easy to download. And did I mention it's free? Yeah, because it's free. So very simple for you to get. We love free, right, Patty Pyburn? This hour of Eat, Drink, Explore Radio is brought to you by Berkeley Winery in beautiful Paso Robles, open daily from 10 in the morning until 6 in the afternoon. Complimentary wine tasting. You cannot beat that. Also, cave tours. Very cool. Voted by Wine Spectator as one of the best tours on the Central Coast. Berkeley Winery is located right there on 46, just about 3 miles past Highway 101, heading east in Paso Robles. You can log on to eberlewinery.com, and that is EBERLE winery.com. All right, it is time for us to chat a little bit with my co-host, Patty Pyburn, who so eloquently delivered the news just then. How are you, Patty?
I hope that was eloquent. I am a little
tired,
sleepy on this Saturday morning.
Well, Patty, recently back from her trip to Europe, as we've discussed. Now you have everyone wanting to go to Spain, including our listeners.
I think it's a great idea.
Yes, but whenever you travel that much and you find yourself confined in airports, airplanes, recycled air, you tend to come down with something. You know what else I think it is? When you expose yourself to... When you live on the Central Coast, the bugs that you're coming in contact with...
You're used to them.
Right. Your body already has defenses to them. Right. When you go to a completely different part of the world, there might be some cold germs.
Foreign bugs?
Right. Circulating. Yeah, exactly. They're foreign. They are. And so they're alien bugs.
Yeah.
And it might... you don't have the defenses built up. So
and think about what you're doing. We were on the underground or the metro or the subway, depending on where we were, just touching all the handrails and everyone else is touching all day. And I'm just, who knows what I was exposed to.
Well, you know how I love public transit, but I am a freak about putting the alcohol on my hands after I ride a bus or a subway system, whatever it might be.
Hand sanitizer is your friend.
So I'm sorry you're not feeling well, Patty.
Oh, it's not the worst thing that's ever happened. I don't know how much time we have right now, but...
A few minutes.
All right. So in the news, we had talked to just a quick blurb about this scientific study on screw caps or corks.
Oh,
and
right. Mm-hmm.
I have to say, I am one of those possibly superficial people that looks at a screw cap on a bottle of wine and thinks that it seems cheap. But that's not the case.
No.
That's a perception.
It is a perception. There's also the perception that that screw caps are more sustainable than corks. That's not necessarily the case. A cork tree does not die when you take the cork from it. It's actually very renewable resource and provides a lot of jobs in Portugal is where a lot of the cork comes from, just south of where you were saying.
Kind of like bamboo just regenerates itself over
Yes.
at such a rapid pace.
Cork is a very sustainable product, and so there's the lore that goes with it. Pulling a cork out.
That I just was going to say, I pulled up this blog really quickly, and it cites a study that recently done in the UK that says twice as many people now accept the screw caps as they did 10 years ago, but still there's resistance, as we mentioned, the just perception that it's not quality, which isn't true. This blog cites some pretty big wineries using screw caps, but goes on to say people miss the tradition. They want to, do the cork. And then the other thing is that there is some science behind it, and the screw cap actually works better for younger wines because it does limit the oxygen. Right,
because you do need a little bit of aging to go on in that process.
Right.
And so I can see that where the cork would allow a little.
Can I give you the technical name for a screw cap?
Please do.
A Stelvin closure.
A Stelvin closure.
I just thought you should know that.
I don't mind the Stelvin closures, but is there a technical name for the cork?
I think we're just gonna have to go with cork.
And then also, what's going to happen generations from now? No one will say put a cork in it.
True. Cap it.
Yeah, you're gonna Yeah, screw a cap on that on that statement.
Put a Stelvin closure on it.
That's never going to work. Hey, I just want to quickly mention for our foodies in the audience, there is probably no bigger foodie than Marion Cunningham, who passed away this week, 90 years old. She really was at the forefront of the California cuisine movement. She can be credited with basically making Alice Waters who she is, because she brought a guy named James Beard. If you're a foodie, you know his name. And she said, hey, James, let's eat at this little place I've found in Berkeley called Chez Panisse. James Beard wrote about it, put it on the map, and Alice Waters, as you know, was instrumental in getting a garden at the White House. Has been featured on 60 Minutes and many other things. You also might have a mom or grandma who has the Fanny Farmer cookbook in their kitchen. We have the Fanny Farmer cookbook
My
at home.
mom's is literally so old it's falling apart at the seams.
Right. Well, Marion Cunningham rewrote it. The Fanny Farmer cookbook originally came out in the late 1800s, and then I think it was in the 1970s that, if I have that correctly, that Marion Cunningham rewrote it. She was an agoraphobic and did not want to leave her home in Walnut Creek for years.
Wow.
A friend of hers talked her into taking a cooking class by none other than James Beard up in Oregon, I believe. And she went and took the class. And she and James Beard became friends, and the rest is history. She started cooking classes in the Bay Area, and she's just such a staple for the foodie community, so she will be greatly missed. I did have a chance to meet her one time when I worked for KGO Radio, and then one time she was eating at a restaurant that I was at called the Foreign Cinema in the Mission District of San Francisco, and everyone was abuzz. Marion Cunningham's eating here right now. So anyway, she will be missed. Thank you, Patty, very much.
Indeed.
Hey, stick around, everyone. It's time to stretch and breathe. I think that's one of the major tenets of yoga. We will learn the secrets of it and where you can find some very unique classes here on the Central Coast. But if you're listening in some other place, lots to learn as well. We're back in just a moment. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back shortly. Did you know our weekly Saturday morning radio show also has a video simulcast on Ustream? You can watch it live or view pre-recorded versions while on the go by simply downloading our free Eat, Drink, Explore app for your smartphone or tablet device. To find it, just head to Google Play or the Apple App Store and search Eat, Drink, Explore. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break. We will be back shortly. Get the latest audio, video, and breaking news from Eat, Drink, Explore Media by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're easy to find. The URL extension for all of those sites is simply Eat, Drink, Explore. Thank you for your patience. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly. Curious about information you've heard on today's show? Just head to eatdrinkexplore.com and head to the weekly program summary section under the radio tab. We always list the websites and any other important facts associated with each of our guests we have on the program. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly. Thank you for being a regular listener to the Eat, Drink, Explore radio program. If you have any feedback for us, we'd love to hear it. Simply send a note to radio@eatdrinkexplore.com. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break. We will be back shortly. Get the latest audio, video, and breaking news from Eat, Drink, Explore Media by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're easy to find. The URL extension for all of those sites is simply Eat, Drink, Explore. Thank you for your patience. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly. Curious about information you've heard on today's show? Just head to eatdrinkexplore.com and head to the weekly program summary section under the radio tab. We always list the websites and any other important facts associated with each of our guests we have on the program. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back shortly. Did you know our weekly Saturday morning radio show also has a video simulcast on Ustream? You can watch it live or view pre-recorded versions while on the go by simply downloading our free Eat, Drink, Explore app for your smartphone or tablet device. To find it, just head to Google Play or the Apple App Store and search Eat, Drink, Explore. Welcome back, everyone. It is time for a little bit more Eat, Drink, Explore radio on your breakfast menu this Saturday morning. I'm your host, Randall White. Great to have you here. Our topic this segment is the ancient practice of yoga, which has been around for more than 5,000 years. And currently, according to an article I found in WebMD, which seems like a pretty reliable source, has nearly 11 million Americans enjoying its health benefits currently. I've avoided taking up yoga because I'm not an indoor gym or studio type of exercise person. I really enjoy my outdoor types of exercise. I swim daily. I bike to work, as many of you know. And I love hiking when I get the chance. Tomorrow, Anthony, on the mountain. And now there is an outdoor option for those of you like me who enjoy your workout with a little bit of scenery. Central Coast yoga instructor Trevor Dieterle, also known as T-Rex, is teaching a class later this afternoon at Avila Valley's Slow Creek Farms. It's known as Yoga in the Orchard. Sounds awesome. And it's donation only for the classes. They do ask, $10 donation is sort of recommended. But if you can't afford that, you're under no, guidelines to provide that. Welcome to the program, Trevor. Great
morning.
Yeah, great to have you here.
Thank you. Great to be here.
How did you get started in yoga? How does that happen? Like at what age?
A little over 3 years ago, we actually started before that. My mom is a yoga instructor, and she'd been bugging me to try it for a long time. And she's like, "Oh, do it, you'll like it."
And were you like,
Yeah, I did water polo and swimming all through high school and a little bit in college, and so I was just like, yoga, what?
Right.
But
Yeah.
So finally, one of the local studios was having a little yoga challenge. You pay a flat rate, get a month unlimited, and she's like, "Oh, please try it. I'll pay for it. I really want you to try." I was like, "All right, what have I got to lose?" And I fell in love with it. It's truly amazing. It's totally changed my life.
That's what I hear every time somebody says they've started taking up yoga. I hear that same thing. It really changed my life. A good friend of mine, Jennifer Hodges, up in the Santa Cruz area, started doing the kind of yoga where you're in that excessively hot room.
Bikram yoga.
Bikram?
Yes.
She's like, "Randall, you got to try it." This is when I lived in San Francisco, and I had a Bikram studio across the way from me on Columbus Street. And I was like, what? 110 degrees and getting into weird poses? No, thanks. And so so I never did it. But there are many different types of yoga, correct?
Yes.
And which one is it that you practice or teach?
My personal, it's kind of a blend. There's Vinyasa yoga is kind of just linking movement with breath. That's my favorite style.
And isn't that the most popular in the United States?
Very much so. Yeah, a lot of people are out there for the fitness aspect. A little bit of cardio, kind of strengthening. Hatha yoga is a kind of an umbrella term. Hatha just sort of refers to the poses themselves.
Okay.
And so Hatha versus Vinyasa. Hatha, you're going to be sort of more stationary, stable, holding the poses for a longer time.
Okay.
And then Iyengar, which is focused all on alignment. Oh, you're like, might do like 5 poses in a class, but it's all just like lots of props, super in on the alignment. And then restorative is all like just very, relaxed, sort of like a nap with stretching involved.
Oh, okay. Wait, which one's that?
Restorative.
Because I think I might be onto that one. Now, when I did live in San Francisco, I'd go get my morning cup of coffee there in what's the little Italy area? I used to live. What? I can't believe North Beach.
Yeah,
thank you. Oh my gosh, I lived there. Okay, in North Beach, and there is a park right in the middle of North Beach where you see a lot of Asian residents, typically older Asian residents, doing some sort of like stretching
Tai Chi,
and breathing.
probably.
Tai Chi.
Yeah.
So, how is there a connection? No.
Other than the fact that it's in the physical fitness realm, that's about it. There's Tai Chi, like obviously lots of breath and like sort of movements, but I think yoga, it's more of more like stationary poses.
Okay.
I think Tai Chi, there's a lot of movement, whereas yoga, Vinyasa yoga, especially, you're going to be moving in between poses, like, from one to the next. There's certain moves, that you're going to do. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, it's sort of linking different poses together, and it's more on like the poses.
Okay.
But then again, at the same time, it's also very much about the transition.
In the United States, we have a tendency to take things that might be centuries old from other cultures and then put our little spin on it, especially in California. So is there sort of like a souped-up California version of yoga that's sort of a mixture of, something you might see on a TV infomercial and, where everyone's kind of dancing and has some sort of magic wand in their hand?
There's yoga dance fusion classes. One of the best classes I've actually taken at a festival. There's this one chick who's all about it. They do the Bollywood, music.
Right. Yeah.
And just like yoga dance fusion, and it's so much fun. You're just like completely letting go. There's, it's the breathing, but then just like a lot of moving around, dancing, just not really that's structured, but lots of fun.
I love those Bollywood dance scenes. There's an Indian restaurant here in town, Shalimar. I don't know if you've eaten out at Shalimar on Broad, and they always have them playing in the background, and I find myself kind of mesmerized watching these. It's like an elaborate Janet Jackson dance routine, where everyone's kind of doing the same thing at the same time. Okay, so which form do you teach in the orchard?
In the orchard, my personal style, I teach to who's in front of me. It really depends on who's there. Yoga is different for everyone. Every body is different. And so if you have some people who've never done yoga before, you can't exactly just go on and give them a really strong flow class. So really it depends. It's probably, it's going to be a pretty good mix. Like I said, I like to I've taken a lot of different styles. I've just taken what I like from each one and sort of blended it together into my own style. Which is centered around, who's there. I like to offer lots of options. If you've never done yoga before, don't let that stop you from coming out to the orchard. just let me know before class that you've never done yoga, and
good.
we'll
Okay.
make it work.
And we should mention, by the way, Trevor will be teaching the class starting this morning at 10. So an hour and a half from now, you have plenty of time to get ready, download our app, and listen on your way out there. Or
And I believe they even have mat rentals too. So even if you don't have a mat,
$2 I saw.
Yeah.
It's $2 online if you don't have a mat. Also, Crush 92.5 comes in very clearly in your car between here and and the Orchard, and so you don't have to turn off our radio to get out there by 10 o'clock to do your yoga. But if you can't make today's Monday through Friday, if you find yourself in downtown San Luis Obispo, yoga for free. Where's that?
Mitchell Park, actually.
Mitchell Park, which is just which streets
On
are those?
Osos, Santa Rosa, Pismo, and Bashan.
There you go.
Block right there.
It's a cute little park with the kiosk in the middle,
Gazebo.
right? The gazebo, and I guess a kiosk would be where you sell things, right? But so you just do it on the grass there?
Yeah, pretty much. Some people bring mats. Sometimes I forget my mat, and but you just do it on the grass. It's really good.
Yeah,
it's a totally different experience. A lot of people like studios. There's a nice benefit, having a nice quiet environment, but at the Mitchell Park, there's all these cars, and homeless people walking around.
But I bet. I'm sorry. I was going to say. I bet with the yoga practice, you can learn how to tune all of that out, right?
Exactly. It's a better practice in my experience. More chance for you to practice. To really, because yoga is all about going inside. Sort of shutting off the outside world, grounding yourself in the now.
Are there any studies to show that people who practice yoga have, say, lower blood pressure?
Oh, yes,
all that
yes,
sort of...
yes, all kinds of stuff. There's been a bunch of studies. They said, was this one study about the effects of yoga versus walking, like regularly, on mood, and how, like the people who are doing yoga over, like long term, just tend to be much happier. Some sort of chemical reaction in the brain. I don't know exactly what it is, but
well, any of those practices where you really shut down and start focusing, whether it's yoga or prayer or meditation, I think all sort of trigger those same chemicals in the head.
Yeah. Nice, just relaxation.
Right. So
stress free.
Well, I highly recommend that people go out there and have Trevor. Trevor, where'd you get the T-Rex?
It's a long story. Many years ago, there's alcohol and a Speedo involved.
Oh, okay.
Before yoga, before I found yoga.
Pre-yoga, okay. I thought it was because he was like a beast as an instructor or something, but no.
that too, but that's
a whole different story. Well, I like it. Okay, how can people get in contact with you if they want to find out where you're teaching? Do you have a website?
Yeah, website Strength to Be Still, one word.
Okay.
It's under construction, so don't judge me too harshly, but there is a nice little contact me button that you can click, fill out a little form, and it'll give it to you.
Awesome. You can also go to slowcreekfarms.com for more information on today's yoga class. And thank you very much, Trevor.
Pleasure.
Fantastic having you here. Straight ahead, everyone, we're introducing you to a new tool for finding good, healthy restaurant food in your area and how to fit the menu's entrees into your diet needs. You'll want to hear that straight ahead. You're listening to Eat, Drink, Explore Radio. I'm your host, Randall White, and we're back in just a moment. Now breathe. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back shortly. Did you know our weekly Saturday morning radio show also has a video simulcast on Ustream? You can watch it live or view pre-recorded versions while on the go by simply downloading our free Eat, Drink, Explore app for your smartphone or tablet device. To find it, just head to Google Play or the Apple App Store and search Eat, Drink, Explore. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break. We will be back shortly. Get the latest audio, video, and breaking news from Eat, Drink, Explore Media by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're easy to find. The URL extension for all of those sites is simply Eat, Drink, Explore. Thank you for your patience. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly. Curious about information you've heard on today's show? Just head to eatdrinkexplore.com and head to the weekly program summary section under the radio tab. We always list the websites and any other important facts associated with each of our guests we have on the program. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly. Thank you for being a regular listener to the Eat, Drink, Explore radio program. If you have any feedback for us, we'd love to hear it. Simply send a note to radio@eatdrinkexplore.com. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break. We will be back shortly. Get the latest audio, video, and breaking news from Eat, Drink, Explore Media by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're easy to find. The URL extension for all of those sites is simply Eat, Drink, Explore. Thank you for your patience. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly. Curious about information you've heard on today's show? Just head to eatdrinkexplore.com and head to the weekly program summary section under the radio tab. We always list the websites and any other important facts associated with each of our guests we have on the program. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back shortly. Did you know our weekly Saturday morning radio show also has a video simulcast on Ustream? You can watch it live or view pre-recorded versions while on the go by simply downloading our free Eat, Drink, Explore app for your smartphone or tablet device. To find it, just head to Google Play or the Apple App Store and search Eat, Drink, Explore. Good Saturday morning. Hope your day is off to a fantastic start so far anyway. Are we still on the radio? Okay. Give me a thumbs up when we are. If you're watching on Ustream, the station we're on in San Luis Obispo right now isn't out of its commercial break yet. Now we are? Okay, we're out of the commercial break there on Crush 92.5. A good morning, everyone. Great to have you with us. And hopefully your morning after that yoga segment is off to a relaxing and enjoyable start. I'm your host, Randall White, and we discuss, as you know, here, food, wine, yummy craft beer, travel, and tourism every Saturday morning at this time on this very station. And if you travel much or have friends and family who love to eat out, as I do, then you know how challenging it can be to follow specific diet needs. It might be counting calories. Maybe you want to gain weight. Maybe you want to lose weight. Maybe you're trying to maintain. Others are vegetarian or vegan, and there's a growing number of those looking for gluten-free or diabetic-friendly menu items as well. Well, now there is a website and soon an app to aid you in finding just the right place and choosing the menu items that work best for you. And if you, well, we'll get to that in just a moment. There's another really cool twist to this. Jason Lewis joins us in studio now to talk about his project. It's called ThinDish, and he'll explain how it works. Welcome to the program, Jason.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming up. He came up from Calabasas today for the show. You are now officially our longest distance person to come to be in studio. Most people are like, can I call? Can we do this by? And I'm like, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, but it's so beautiful here. I was really excited to make the trip.
Yeah, San Luis is a fun place to go. I don't even remember how I found ThinDish. And you probably would want to know. Oh, I know how it was. No, I do remember. You followed us on Twitter.
Oh, cool.
And when you see the different followers, and I was like, ThinDish, what's that? Because I'm in the process of dropping a couple pounds. Yep. And so I'm like, well, I'm going to check this out. So I checked it out, and I'm like, this is really cool.
Awesome.
And if the app works the way that you have intended it to work in the future, I'm going to love that app. But so far, I really like the website. Let's talk about the concept first and foremost. What were you thinking when you developed ThinDish?
Gotcha. Well, the main point of ThinDish was I started developing it about a year ago. I lost a bunch of weight when I was working. I was working a 9-to-5 job, eating out at restaurants all the time.
A desk job?
A desk job.
Yeah, that's the killer.
And I was basically eating at restaurants all the time, and I got up to about 270 pounds.
Oh, wow.
So-
You have lost yeah.
So lost a whole bunch of weight by basically going to restaurants and eating meals that were under 600 calories. And I basically looked at the restaurants that were close to us and did my own kind of estimate of what I should eat at those restaurants. And after 6 months, I basically got down to about 190 pounds. And I was like, man, it'd be really great if there was a place for me to find all this information so that I don't have to go through all these hoops to do it on my own.
You're not the only one thinking that. and you're like, ding, light bulb, right?
Exactly. So, and that's where ThinDish was kind of born through my process of losing weight. The other thing that I was doing while I was losing weight was I was kind of taking a photo journal of all the food that I was eating. So that's why ThinDish is a little bit of a two-part process. We want to find out what's at the restaurants, and then we also are helping people by log and photo journal their kind of journey on their weight loss.
Well, not everyone has a smartphone yet, but a lot of people do, and it's so easy to take a picture. People are already snapping a ton of food porn anyway just to share on Facebook or Twitter, whatever it might be. So why not take a picture of your meal and find out the calorie content, right?
Exactly. And it's something that's fun and social to do, because right now a lot of people recommend that, logging your food is a really great idea, but it's kind of boring, and there's no reason that I would want to show you my log. I mean, you want to see that I ate 2 eggs. It's kind of...
And it's difficult, too, because not everything has the caloric value. And I notice a lot of times if I go on to something that shows me what the calories will be, there's some item that I have substituted that's not part of it, like brown rice versus white rice or something like that. And I'll look and I'll think, well, that doesn't really match what I'm doing, but you're going to try to perfect that.
Exactly. We're helping that process, because now when you actually take a photo of the food, you can click on the brown rice, and we have a database of 67,000 ingredients. It might be more or less. We're keep on adding stuff every day.
Right.
And you basically just type in brown rice, and it'll pop up, and you can add that right to your meal, and you can see all the substitutions, and it does everything for you.
That's awesome. Of course, the restaurant has to be honest with you as to what went into the what went into the dish. How much butter was really used in making those mashed potatoes, or what have you. So you're sort of like Subway's Jared, but you just went to a lot of different places, not just one.
Yeah. Instead of promoting a chain restaurant, if you will, I decided to open my own business.
Yeah, right.
which makes me a little nuts, but why not? It's
hey,
fun.
no, I fully understand. So here's the thing. I do eat at chain restaurants, but I prefer to support the local economy, whoever, the mom and pop. Plus, I think the food is better there, and you get a wider range of tastes and flavors and that sort of thing. So I have found with many of the apps or websites that are out there along the same lines as ThinDish, it's always the Applebee's, the Olive Gardens and stuff like that are in these apps, and never the mom and pop places. Or like, we have a great restaurant here called Big Sky Cafe that I love. That wouldn't be on something. Exactly. But in your case, I noticed people can nominate restaurants, right? Like they can say, hey, I eat at this place. Can you make it part of your program?
Yeah. Well, the other part of what we do, which is kind of on the back end, not for the consumer side, but for the restaurant side, is we have a website called ThinDishPartners.com. And restaurants can go on to there, and they can access, we have built a nutritional analyzer that's FDA compliant.
Really?
And they can upload their recipes to the website, and they actually get a full nutritional label given back to them. And they also get the full, like a breakdown of if it's high protein, low carb, diabetic friendly, low sodium. So it really adds a great value to their menu. Once that information is completed, we then take that and provide all that on ThinDish.com. And we're really looking at it as, the local independent restaurants, they can't afford to go to the lab and spend upwards of $5,000.
Right. It's pricey.
It's super pricey. So, we've come out with a way that's really cheap and convenient for them, where they can go online on any computer 24/7 and find out their nutrition, and then also update their menu if they'd like, because a lot of the local restaurants likes to do seasonal items. So for them to keep going back to the lab every month is kind of crazy. So we've built this system that allows them to just simply go up, and for about within a minute or two, they'll have their full nutrition.
What's the rule right now in California anyway? What's the rule when it comes to supplying nutritional information on a menu? How many locations do you have to have in the state?
10 locations.
10 locations. So almost by default, the places that are going to have that information are chains.
Correct.
And so they can afford, because they're spreading it out over 10 restaurants, a cost like that. 10, or in many cases, hundreds of restaurants, right? And so you're helping the little guy. I love that.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sitting here thinking, all this talk about food's making me hungry, but then I realized it was hot in our studio, so I have the window open behind me, and I can smell the grill over at Firestone. It's coming in right now. When does your app come out?
So we're hoping that the app's going to come out within about a month and a half, but this is tech.
Right.
So please don't take me seriously when I say a month and a half. We're hoping it'll be then, but we're working day and night. In fact, we were working crazy hours last night just to put some finishing touches on it.
Were you a tech person to begin with, or this is something because of the nature of your startup, you have to become one?
I'm a tech person from film. I actually come from the film industry.
Right. Imagine that, Southern California, and you're in the film industry.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty crazy, right?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I've worked as a director and editor for commercials.
Oh, okay.
And at the end of the day, I had a major weight problem, and I was like, I got to figure out a way to solve this.
Yeah.
And then I went over to internet tech. So
yeah,
I'm not the programmer and developer. I'm working with a partner who does it, and he's a genius. So.
Well, one of the cool things when I checked out the ThinDish site is there was a pop-up, and it said, would you like to get a free trial version of the app when it comes out? And I was like, I saw the 4-letter F word, free.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like,
it's going to be free.
Of course I will. I imagine, though, you'll have a pay version as also.
We will, yeah. I mean, the way that the app is going to kind of work, if you don't mind, I'll go into that
real
quick.
Please.
I mean, you basically, you'll be able to have take pictures of your food, and then you can actually physically tag the food.
Like you would on Facebook or something. You touch it.
So just like how you would tag your friends, you would be able to tag it like, okay, this is rice. And then you tag everything in your photo, and it comes up with your full calorie information, as well as like fat, protein, and carbs. Then all that stuff is tracked into like a diary, like your timeline essentially. And you can track and see how many calories you have left for the rest of the day. You can also take pictures of your activities. So like if you're on a hike, my big thing is I never want to look at, I'm going to go work out. Because that's boring.
I agree.
Like if I'm going to go work out, it's like I want to go see the sunset. So I look at, if I go go on a hike, my goal is to get that sunset, and I'll take a picture of that sunset, and that will remind me of the hike. So you can take a picture of that sunset, tag it with that you went hiking for 30 minutes, and it'll say, oh, well, congratulations, you burned 400 calories. So now all that stuff is calculated for you, and it gives you what your total calorie limit is left for the day.
You don't just help people that way. On the website currently, we've been looking at pictures. If you're watching our video feed right now, you've been looking at pictures of really tasty food. You have some recipes. We only have about 30 seconds left for you to talk about those. Gotcha. How do you choose the recipes online?
The recipes from the blog?
From the blog, yes.
Okay. Actually, my sister, who's a chef, she's been going and creating these recipes and finding out different alternative ways to make items, thin dishes.
And they're all under 600 calories.
They're all under 600 calories.
Well, your sister must be an amazing cook, because the photos are really nice. Yeah.
She is. Some of that stuff is amazing, and it's all healthy, too.
I highly recommend it. Jason Lewis, check out ThinDish, THIN, and then DISH.com. And I cannot wait for the app to come out. That's going to be exciting. So throw me an email and let me know when it's out, and we'll mention it on the air.
Absolutely, yeah, and I'll send you some stuff. Thank you so much for having me.
Sounds great. Thank you, Jason. Coming up next, we're taking a look at some wine country luxury properties offering some bargain pricing right now. It is our popular travel deal segment. You don't want to miss it. You're listening to the Eat, Drink, Explore Radio Network. I'm your host, Randall White, and we are back in just a moment. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back shortly. Did you know our weekly Saturday morning radio show also has a video simulcast on Ustream? You can watch it live or view pre-recorded versions while on the go by simply downloading our free Eat, Drink, Explore app for your smartphone or tablet device. To find it, just head to Google Play or the Apple App Store and search Eat, Drink, Explore. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break. We will be back shortly. Get the latest audio, video, and breaking news from Eat, Drink, Explore Media by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're easy to find. The URL extension for all of those sites is simply Eat, Drink, Explore. Thank you for your patience. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly. Curious about information you've heard on today's show? Just head to eatdrinkexplore.com and head to the weekly program summary section under the radio tab. We always list the websites and any other important facts associated with each of our guests we have on the program. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly. Thank you for being a regular listener to the Eat, Drink, Explore radio program. If you have any feedback for us, we'd love to hear it. Simply send a note to radio@eatdrinkexplore.com. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break. We will be back shortly. Get the latest audio, video, and breaking news from Eat, Drink, Explore Media by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're easy to find. The URL extension for all of those sites is simply Eat, Drink, Explore. Thank you for your patience. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly. Curious about information you've heard on today's show? Just head to eatdrinkexplore.com and head to the weekly program summary section under the radio tab. We always list the websites and any other important facts associated with each of our guests we have on the program. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back shortly. Did you know our weekly Saturday morning radio show also has a video simulcast on Ustream? You can watch it live or view pre-recorded versions while on the go by simply downloading our free Eat, Drink, Explore app for your smartphone or tablet device. To find it, just head to Google Play or the Apple App Store and search Eat, Drink, Explore.
You waited all week, and it's finally here. The Eat, Drink, Explore Weekly Travel Deals Extravaganza.
And a very good day, everyone. I'm your host, Randall White. Oh, okay.
That's what I was telling you. I hear music now.
Which kind of music? Our music or Crush?
Crush. Do you hear the same music, Anthony?
No.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, we are. Hello, everyone. Sorry about that. We have just a few seconds of delay where it's not working with us for Crush right now. So I apologize if you're watching on Ustream. You're like, what are they doing? But no, good morning, everyone. I'm your host, Randall White. It is time to hear insight now from the best of the best, the gurus of bargains, the luminaries of budget travel. And this week we are discussing luxury properties in California wine country. And to help us find the best deals there, we welcome a new guest to the program, Ryan Bailey, the co-founder and CEO at Resorts and vineyardsandlodges.com. Nice to have you here today, Ryan.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Excited to be on the show.
So now, how long has Resorts and Lodges been around?
We actually were one of the first original leisure travel sites online, 97, 98. So we've been around a little over 14 years.
And you're based in Minnesota?
Yeah, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
I love the Twin Cities. It's such a fantastic place to go. Uptown is, I think, one of my favorite neighborhoods there.
Yeah, love it. Love it up there.
Good food and just really fun, polite people. It is not a misnomer when people say Midwesterners have that, courteous spirit. They really do. I was just at the Minneapolis airport, I guess about a month ago. And
flyover country, or
well, see, they do. They call that whole area flyover country, and for me, it's fly to country. I used to live in Madison, Wisconsin, not far away from you. So
okay, fantastic.
Okay, so let's talk California, and there are several wine regions here. Of course, one of the biggest internationally is certainly the Napa Valley, and you have a couple of deals for us that fall within the valley there, starting with the Napa Valley Lodge. What's that deal?
Well, actually, we work with thousands of different properties across the globe, and 4 of these individual deals caught my attention, so I thought I would share with them. As you said, the Napa Valley Lodge, it's a unique property. It's a Tuscan-style lodge, AAA, 4-diamond property. Really interesting. It's actually the only hotel in Yountville set in a vineyard, and it's about 10 minutes north of actual town of Napa. And they have a pretty neat deal where it's a special VIP winery tour package. They pick you up, privately chauffeured, 5-hour tour in a limo, overnight accommodations for 2, bottle of wine upon arrival, and then in the morning they have a champagne breakfast delivered directly to your room. Truly the ultimate VIP treatment. And it's actually $410 of savings that they give you. So pretty awesome deal there.
Now, Ryan, when you say they pick you up at SFO, at San Francisco International, in a limo?
No, actually, they pick you up at the property.
I see. Okay.
So once you get to the Napa Valley Lodge, they pick you up in a limo, and then boom, it's a 5-hour tour, and go grab some wineries. It
is a beautiful property. You can see it from Highway 29 as you head up the valley. Yountville is a fantastic town. I love that area, and from the hotel there, you can walk to a number of great restaurants. I believe French Laundry is in Yountville, right? So if you plan on eating there, hopefully you've already made your reservations, because you have to make those, I think, a year in advance. So. Okay, let's head to the town of Napa, which has really undergone a renaissance ever since they've redone the whole river there, and there is a place called the River Terrace Inn.
Yeah, this is a great place. It's actually overlooking the Napa River, and I picked this deal because you start exploring all the wineries, you definitely don't want to begin with an empty stomach. So what they did is they put together a package. The River Terrace Inn is offering a $200 food credit at their Cuvée restaurant. So you can get $200 worth of food at their renovated restaurant there. And then also with that, they give you complimentary bike rentals to explore all that is Napa.
I love it.
And then you can also see the concierge about the downtown tasting card. So it's a unique deal there, and I think it'd be great for your listeners to go check that one out.
I haven't done it yet, but I'm looking forward to spending an entire weekend just in downtown Napa. Not trying to throw myself all over the valley is my typical inclination, but to just stay in Napa. There are plenty of tasting rooms you can walk to, and if you're staying at a place like the River Terrace Inn, and then the nightlife is there as well, and so you can really enjoy yourself. And with a $200 food credit at Cuvée, that sounds like a fantastic deal. Okay.
Absolutely.
Let's head to the exact opposite end of the Napa Valley, and what is probably my favorite town, Calistoga. The picture that we are sharing right now of the Cottage Grove Inn, this looks like a place I'd like to stay, because I love having my own sort of individual little bungalow.
Absolutely. This is a gem. It's in Calistoga, and I thought this would be a fun deal to put together. So it's a part of the Napa Valley Film Festival.
Oh.
And on the very north end of the valley region of wine country is obviously the Calistoga area. And this property offers 16 storybook cottages, each with a front porch. with their own little lawn there and wicker rockers, fireplace, wet bar, and deep jacuzzi tub. So it's a gem of a property.
Wow.
Your listeners would absolutely love it there. But the deal is the Napa Valley Film Festival, November 7th to the 11th, and you got to book this by October 1st, and they give you $50 off the festival passes, complimentary bottle of champagne, and chocolate-covered strawberries upon arrival, and then VIP wine tasting experiences for 2 at different wineries in the area. So Bennett Lane Winery, Crocker and Star Winery, Frank Family Vineyards, and you actually save about depending on the room or the cottage, you save $273 to $295 dollars there. So
Ryan, that's a great deal. And there is something about the atmosphere of the Napa Valley in November with that fall sunshine and the crisp air. The leaves in many of the vineyards are still on the plants but have turned that golden or red, beautiful colors. And from Calistoga there, you can head up and over Mount St. Helena and get several views of the valley. You'll want to, photo ops to take pictures down below. And then with all of the other additions you were just talking about, what a great relaxing weekend that would be.
Absolutely.
Now let's head closer to where where our broadcasting studio is. Just up Highway 1 from us is the beautiful town of Cambria, or, you might say Cambria, but the people in town say Cambria, and the Pelican Inn and Suites. Let's hear it.
Yeah, so it's a newly renovated property. They're offering pretty hefty percentage off the rooms where you can save on a nightly rate of you can save $186 to $278, depending again on the room type that you choose. You want to come and explore.
Mm-hmm.
But it's right on Highway 1 there, and just a fantastic. It's right on Moonstone Beach.
Oh, wow!
So you can go lay out in the sun, get on the beach after a pretty awesome time at Paso Robles wine country, and it's a new and up and coming wine region, and award-winning premium wines offering more than 40 different varieties. Just a great place. And you stroll through the historic downtown, shop and dine. They get boutique stores, wine country cuisine, tasting rooms, and it's right off the coast. 20-30 minutes, you go stay at the pristine Four Diamond Getaway, right again on the Moonstone Beach Pelican Inn and Suites. So offers everything from a large pool. If you're into the whole volleyball thing, get wild and crazy on those courts.
Right.
And again, offering $186 to $278 off that deal there. So when you do go to that region, there's a couple good wineries, solid wineries. Ancient Peaks Winery, Bon Niche Cellars, Rocky Creek Cellars, Hunt Cellars, Grey Wolf, Peachy Canyon, just to name a few.
So many good ones, hundreds now in San Luis Obispo County. And also I like Robin's Restaurant there in Cambria. Pelican Inn and Suites. You can find all of these deals at resortsandlodges.com. Ryan Bailey, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Loved it.
Can't wait to have you back on again.
All right. Talk to you.
This hour of Eat, Drink, Explore Radio brought to you by Kelly's at the Grill at Hunter Ranch, a place where you could go if you were staying there at the Pelican Inn. A Dine Under the Oaks, surrounded by the beautiful rolling green hills, located just 3 miles from 101 on 46 East in Paso Robles. Highly recommended. Stick around, everyone. Next hour, our compass word is bubbles. We'll explain that coming up in just a moment. We'll talk to you. News in a minute. Eat, Drink, Explore Media is your lifestyle information source. Our focus, food, wine, craft beer, travel, and tourism trends, with a slant towards sustainable and healthy options. Whether it's hot deals or tips for hotels and flights, an update on what's currently fresh at your local farmer's market, or the latest restaurant and beverage news, we've got you covered from 8 to 10 each and every Saturday morning. Live on Crush 92.5 in San Luis Obispo County, and online at eatdrinkexplore.com. Also, check out our new free smartphone and tablet app. Simply search 3 words, Eat, Drink, Explore, either in Google Play on your Android device or in the App Store on your iPhone or iPad. This free app gives you access to contests, past radio segments, our Facebook and Twitter feeds, and you can watch live video of the radio broadcast while listening to it here on The Crush. Eat, Drink, Explore Media, your source for the lifestyle you love. It's the top of the hour and time once again for the latest from the Eat, Drink, Explore news desk.
Good morning, all you Eat, Drink, Explorers. I'm Patty Pyburn, and we're looking at news on this Saturday morning. NASA is now testing ways astronauts will cook and eat on their long future mission to Mars. Those missions can take years. The study, in collaboration with Cornell University and University of Hawaii, is finding ways to create home-cooked meals in space. You know, freeze-dried ice cream only goes so far, and apparently the astronauts become fatigued eating space food. The researchers also say another benefit of cooking is the socialization aspect, creating a sense of family for the astronauts. Currently, volunteers are learning how to make French bread and Puerto Rican white bean stew, all from shelf-stable ingredients in a low-gravity environment. A team of archaeologists say they've uncovered what's believed to be the oldest wine in China. A sealed bronze cylinder containing wine, still in liquid form, was found while excavating a nobleman's tomb and could be up to 2,700 years old. The wine is from the Zhao, not sure if I'm saying it right, dynasty. Apparently members of the previous Shang dynasty were known to get their drink on, perhaps the reason for their decline. With this ancient wine, the team found a prohibition device, a reminder to drink in moderation, referencing the notorious excessive drinking of the Shang dynasty leaders. A research team at UC Davis is setting out to answer a burning question: corks or screw caps? The study will take 2 years. It's called the Bottle Aging, Closure, and Variability. The university says it will determine how wines age using a Stelvin closure, that's a screw cap, or a traditional cork. Now, the team's partnered up with the Plum Jack Group, a wine company that uses bottling methods. The test will use, very scientific, in-bottle oxygen sensors, spectral analysis, sounds like CSI, and sensory evaluation to determine their results. Joining me now, Nicole Powers. Good morning, Nicole. You have some information for us this morning, released by the American Heart Association, about sugar substitutes.
I do. Thank you, Patty. The American Heart Association now says sugar substitutes can play a key role in healthy diets, specifically for weight control and glucose control for diabetes. The study specifically looked at what they call non-nutritive sweeteners. Most are artificial, but they also include stevia, which comes from a natural source. So that's why they call it the non-nutritive. And here's what the lead author of the study had to say.
The main finding was they might help if you use them smartly and you don't compensate later in the day, but our finding was that the general population seems to not use them smartly or consciously.
That was Dr. Christopher Gardner, and he's talking about the tendency to eat fattening foods later in the day, either because of hunger or because people think, I put Splenda in my coffee earlier so I can reward myself now. He said the study also revealed a difference depending on where you're saving the calories.
Along this whole compensation line, people don't compensate as much for beverages as they do for food. There's room for benefit. It's probably the simple switch of sodas to diet sodas.
So, Patty, one question you may be asking is, if I know I'm inclined to act that way when consuming sugar substitutes, will that give me the will to avoid this tendency? And the doctor said that this hasn't been researched yet, but this was a question that they're very interested in and is among important suggestions for further study.
Now, I know a lot of people like that stevia. That's
They
a natural
do.
substitute.
It is.
So might be a good choice, but I guess you have to know that you can't overcompensate later, right?
Right, and we asked him if there was a difference between the different sugar substitutes, but they said that that was also an area where they suggested more studies, so we should be seeing that in the future.
We will wait to hear more. All right, Nicole Powers, thank you for that update. I am not a sweetener substitute user. I just go right for the sugar, and I just think, control your intake. But I just can't do the substitutes.
I don't either. I drink Diet Coke sometimes, but that's really purely just because I like the taste. So
it's not as sweet. Lots of people prefer to go that route. It's not quite as sweet. All right, Nicole, thank you.
Thank you, Patty.
And on this Saturday morning, thanks for listening to Eat, Drink, Explore News Desk. I'm Patty Pyburn. Stick around because your Eat, Drink, Explore live host, Randall White, has some great stuff coming up.
Eat, Drink, Explore Media is your lifestyle information source. Our focus, food, wine, craft beer, travel, and tourism trends, with a slant towards sustainable and healthy options. Whether it's hot deals or tips for hotels and flights, an update on what's currently fresh at your local farmer's market, or the latest restaurant and beverage news, we've got you covered from 8 to 10 each and every Saturday morning. Live on Crush 92.5 in San Luis Obispo County and online at eatdrinkexplore.com. Also, check out our new free smartphone and tablet app. Simply search 3 words, Eat, Drink, Explore, either in Google Play on your Android device or in the App Store on your iPhone or iPad. This free app gives you access to contests, past radio segments, our Facebook and Twitter feeds, and you can watch live video of the radio broadcast while listening to it here on The Crush. Eat, Drink, Explore Media, your source for the lifestyle you love.
Delicious, nutritious, and fabulously fun.
Is this real life?
Best of all, your comments.
That was a real money saver. Thanks, Randall.
So did it work out for you?
Your hotel tip was spot on.
You're listening to the Eat, Drink, Explore Radio Network. But don't just sit there. It's an interactive program, honey.
Are you sure this is legal? I don't know. It's fun though, isn't it?
Pick your pleasure. Tweet, chat, post, email, even call us on the telly. Whatever works for you. Our topics today, food, drinks, travel, and a whole lot more fun. So let's pop the cork on this thing and get the party started. Give it up now for our fantastic host, the wonderful and talented Mr. Randall White.
I think that's the champagne talking.
And a good morning, everyone. Glad you can join us here for the show today, this Saturday. I'm your host, Randall White, and we are coming to you live from downtown historic San Luis Obispo, right in the heart of all of the action, bringing you as much current information as possible. We put this show together right up to the last minute so we can give you good information and so that you can enjoy life in a healthy, fun, and sustainable manner. That's important to us. This hour of the show is dictated, I should say, by something we call a compass word. It's essentially a word that inspires us to explore foods, beverages, and locations we might not otherwise find. And each week it'll be a different word. If you have a word suggestion, feel free to send it to us via Twitter or Facebook or even email. It's radio@eatdrinkexplore.com. But this week's word we came up all on our own, and it's called bubble.
How did you ever come up with that, Randall?
Well, sometimes there's a guest that I want. The funny thing is in this case, we don't even have that segment. But I had read about the fine wine bubble sort of crashing. People that were investing in the fine wine in fine wines are finding the prices dropping dramatically.
Okay.
And so I thought, okay, bubble. You could really tie in a lot of things using the word bubble.
I love the compass word concept.
Yes,
love it.
And we have it for a television show that is in production right now as well. So stay tuned for that. We thought we'd tie the radio show and the television show together with the compass word. She's Patty Pyburn, by the way. And I'll be talking to you in just a moment, Patty. Right now, I'm going to tell you that straight ahead, based on the word bubble, we will sink our teeth into some sourdough bread made by one of the largest artisan bakeries in the Bay Area, learn some of the secrets of baking and how bubbles play a crucial role. Also, we're headed to a national park where bubbles make up a number of major attractions, including mountains, ponds, and trails. Plus, you can't talk bubbles, right, without mentioning champagne. And Patty, you'll like this. We're introducing you to a woman in New York who has coined the champagne diet. All right.
Love it.
We will also explain how sparkling wines are called by various names depending on where they're made. But first, we need to let you know that this hour of Eat, Drink, Explore Radio is brought to you by Kelly's at the Grill at Hunter Ranch Golf Course, the best kept restaurant secret on the Central Coast. It's open 7 days a week for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, happy hour from 3 to 6, and dinner Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Their dinners are great, and you look out over the countryside. It's beautiful. Kelly's at the Grill at Hunter Ranch Golf Course, located on 46 East past Airport Road in Paso Robles. All right, Patty, it is time to talk a little bubble action. And when we talk bubbles, we're talking champagne,
the kind
right?
you consume. I love it.
But here's the thing. People throw around the term champagne.
I'm one of them.
But it really is only called champagne if it is made in Champagne, France.
Right.
The Champagne region of France. And so, a lot of people are like, oh, just let's just call it champagne. But how would you feel, if something made in the United States is bourbon, okay? And it has to be made in the United States to be called bourbon. What if all of a sudden, like Australia and all these other places, I don't know why I picked on Australia, but, if these other countries are like, yeah, we're gonna
use bourbon too.
We're gonna make some whiskey using the right ingredients, and then we're just gonna call it bourbon. Well, then we'd be kind of mad, in the United States. So I'm a big one for wineries calling it sparkling wine if it's made here in the United States.
The term champagne, it's kind of like what we do with
Kleenex.
Xerox or Kleenex.
Yeah, right. She just pulled a tissue.
Pulled out the brand name becomes the name that we call, like TiVo. I still find myself saying I'm going to TiVo that, but I don't have TiVo really. I have a DVR.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not actually the TiVo brand.
It does. You're right. And I know that people in France have worked hard to make that not be the case, but it still is. So here are some sparkling wines from around the country and what they are called if they come from that region. If they come from Spain, where you probably had some of this, it's called
Cava, and you had it at my house last week.
I did.
With the lemon sorbet.
It was delicious.
Yeah.
She made some homemade lemon sorbet and then floated that in some champagne. It was
Cava.
delicious.
In Cava.
Oh, I'm sorry. See, I just did it. Yeah, in some Cava. Okay, we've already said champagne from France, but that's just from the Champagne region of France. If it comes from other regions, it's called Cremant de, and then, like, for instance, Bordeaux.
I did not know that.
Right. So, if it comes from a different region of France, then you say Cremant de whatever that region
the region is. I love that's interesting. I had no clue.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So again, I was lumping all French sparkling wines as champagne.
Yeah, no, just from that one region. And then if you get one from Portugal, it's called Espumante.
Oh, okay.
Or they probably say Esh Spumante. And then Italy has several different things that they call their sparkling wine. A lot of people know of Prosecco, and that comes mainly from the Veneto region. They're all northern Italy. Almost all the sparkling wine in Italy come from the northern regions, I guess. There's also Asti. We've always seen commercials for like Asti Spumante, right? Okay.
Was that 80s? I totally remember
Total
those.
80s, yeah. Okay, that's the Piedmont region of Italy. And
Martini and Rossi Asti Spumante. That's the commercial that just came into my head.
Oh, you're thinking Martini and Rossi on the rocks say yes?
Oh, maybe.
I would sing it right now, but I...
Okay, moving on.
Okay, and then there's one more, and I know I'm gonna butcher this word, but it's Franciacorta. Franciacorta.
That sounds good.
And it is that's also northern Italy, and that's out of the Lombardy region. And then the Germans, of course, have their own, and it's Sacht. And of course, you have to go like Sacht. That is the term they give to sparkling wines made in Germany that are of a better quality.
Like an upper quality. Okay.
Upper quality, right. And so in Germany, they don't necessarily use all their grapes. All the grapes don't have to come from Germany in this case. They do a lot of importing from France and Italy and other large wine-growing regions, Spain.
Okay.
And then, of course, in California, Australia, South Africa, it's just simply called sparkling wine.
We don't get a fancy name?
Do you want to come up with one?
We need a fancy name.
Maybe we should challenge our listeners.
Yeah, give us a fancy name for our California or even our Central Coast sparkling wines.
Yeah, because we can really regionalize it the way they have in other areas of the world. So California certainly deserves its own, since we are the king winemakers in the country. Not to say that Oregon, Washington, and other portions of the United States don't make some outstanding wines.
Right.
They really do.
It's just a huge industry here in California. It has become a huge industry.
It is one of our top industries for sure. So, all right, Patty. So once again, the word bubble.
Bubbles. I love it. I love our word today, but I just love the compass word concept.
Yes. Well, people will become very comfortable with it, I hope, over the next several weeks. And just after the break, we are learning some of the secrets of making a great loaf of bread. Bubbles are among them, from one of the Bay Area's top artisan bakeries. Sourdough bread is just synonymous with the Bay Area, so we went to a great one up there. And then later in the show, we're talking champagne diet, and in this case, that's the name of the diet, champagne diet, not the sparkling wine diet. So we'll be talking that, and then we're taking you to a national park known for its bubbles. It might not be what you're thinking. You're listening to the Eat, Drink, Explore Radio Network. We're in San Luis Obispo this Saturday morning. I'm your host, Randall White, and we are back in just a moment. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back shortly. Did you know our weekly Saturday morning radio show also has a video simulcast on Ustream? You can watch it live or view pre-recorded versions while on the go by simply downloading our free Eat, Drink, Explore app for your smartphone or tablet device. To find it, just head to Google Play or the Apple App Store and search Eat, Drink, Explore. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break. We will be back shortly. Get the latest audio, video, and breaking news from Eat, Drink, Explore Media by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're easy to find. The URL extension for all of those sites is simply Eat, Drink, Explore. Thank you for your patience. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly. Curious about information you've heard on today's show? Just head to eatdrinkexplore.com and head to the weekly program summary section under the radio tab. We always list the websites and any other important facts associated with each of our guests we have on the program. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly. Thank you for being a regular listener to the Eat, Drink, Explore radio program. If you have any feedback for us, we'd love to hear it. Simply send a note to radio@eatdrinkexplore.com. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break. We will be back shortly. Get the latest audio, video, and breaking news from Eat, Drink, Explore Media by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're easy to find. The URL extension for all of those sites is simply Eat, Drink, Explore. Thank you for your patience. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly. Curious about information you've heard on today's show? Just head to eatdrinkexplore.com and head to the weekly program summary section under the radio tab. We always list the websites and any other important facts associated with each of our guests we have on the program. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back shortly. Did you know our weekly Saturday morning radio show also has a video simulcast on Ustream? You can watch it live or view pre-recorded versions while on the go by simply downloading our free Eat, Drink, Explore app for your smartphone or tablet device. To find it, just head to Google Play or the Apple App Store and search Eat, Drink, Explore. Welcome back to the program on this Saturday morning. I'm your host, Randall White, and we are coming to you live from downtown San Luis Obispo, California. And as I mentioned in the last segment, our compass word this hour is bubble. It's simply a word we use each week to connect all of our second hour guests with a theme. Now, using the term bubble for this week's show, we're able to explore the worlds of food, beverages, and travel with a little bit of a twist. Bubbles are everywhere, including in our food. Just look at a slice of bread. I mean, like, really look at it, and you'll find hundreds of pockets created by none other than gas bubbles during the baking process. Hopefully it's not breaking. That would be some hard bread. Steve Sullivan with Acme Bread Company up in... we've lost Steve. We have to get him back on the line. Steve Sullivan will be joining us in a moment with Acme Bread Company in Berkeley, California. And I'll tell you what, back in the early 90s, 91 through 95, I was a manager at the Marin Brewing Company. That's in Larkspur, California. And you know how when you eat at a restaurant, you get some bread. And our bread came from Acme Bakery, and it would come in fresh. Every single morning, they would deliver these huge bags of Acme bread, and they were still warm. And one thing that I have not been able to find here on the Central Coast is warm sourdough bread that comes packaged in paper, not plastic, and it has a hard outer crust and warm, soft insides. And I got to tell you, it is the only way to eat sourdough bread. You can get it. There's a bakery up in Atascadero called the Safe Harbor Bakery, and you can buy it from them directly that way. But in the stores here, it's tough to find that packaging in the paper, the way that I believe sourdoughs should be packaged. All right, Steve Sullivan is back on the line from Acme Bread Company in Berkeley. And a very good morning to you, Steve.
Good morning, Randall.
Yeah, it's really nice to speak with you, considering I've been eating your product for decades.
Well, we don't like to call it product. We refer to it as bread.
Yes, exactly. Your bread for decades. And when did Acme get started?
The company itself, we started in September of 1983. I had been baking bread in a restaurant in Berkeley for about 4 years before that.
Oh, okay. And I've always been curious because, people associate Acme with, the Roadrunner and the Coyote. How did you come up with the name?
It was kind of a process of elimination. We eliminated every other word, and that's what we were left with.
Right.
So we wanted it to not be sort of a cute name, which were very popular at the time in the early 80s, and we didn't want it to be a French name, and we didn't want it to have our name. We didn't want it to be a personal name. We wanted it to indicate that it was a place where people were working hard, that it wasn't a little sort of boutique-y or dilettante-ish operation. And the word Acme means the pinnacle in Greek, and it also has a long history in America as a name for small industrial enterprises, particularly around the turn of the century, the early part of the 20th century, which is why it appears in Roadrunner cartoons.
Yeah, and also to let the bread speak for itself, right? It's not people aren't buying it for the name; they're buying it because they love that bread.
That was kind of our idea, is just to have it be sort of a not flashy name that sort of meant something, but that didn't really try and make people laugh or gasp or anything like that.
I like that, Steve. All right, now first off, and clearly this is in your opinion, what makes great bread, or what many of us would consider to be great bread?
Well, I think probably, that there are a lot of factors, and certainly a lot of it has to do with the situation that a person is in when eating bread, when enjoying bread, when being served bread. But to try and be a little bit objective about it, I would say that fermentation and adequate fermentation, for me, are the keys to getting texture and flavor that are both interesting and pleasant.
And people forget that bread is a fermented product like wine or beer or yogurt. Bread is fermented, and it's that process that creates our compass word for the day, bubbles, correct?
Well, that's true. Yeah, the yeasts produce carbon dioxide as a byproduct of their activity. And that carbon dioxide is trapped in the gluten network of the dough, and those bubbles expand and leaven the dough, turning it into something, to varying degrees less dense than a pudding.
Right. How important is it to have just the right yeast? Is that something that is kept under lock and key by many bakeries?
Well, there are certainly bakeries that keep it under lock and key. Our door never actually gets locked because we're always in operation. But but you know, if a certain bakery keeps the yeast under lock and key, then another person who might want to use similar yeast would have to do something as complicated as going to the store and getting some whole grain flour to acquire, you know, pretty much the same yeast.
I see.
Because wild yeasts are prevalent in the environment, and commercial yeasts are prevalent in the stores.
I see.
So there's no real way to maintain. There's no exclusivity certain yeasts. I mean, certain areas have certain yeasts that tend to predominate. Wild yeasts appear on the exterior of lots and lots of different fruits. That's why grapes turn into wine, because wild yeast accumulates on the surface and ferments the sugars when the grape skins break.
Years ago, Steve, when I was a nutrition major at Cal Poly, I had taken a course on fermented products, and right around that time, San Luis sourdough was getting started, and there was a rumor going around. I don't remember learning this in any of my classes, but there was a rumor going around that the founders of San Luis sourdough had paid some substantial money for a sourdough starter from one of the companies in San Francisco so they could really duplicate. Does that sound like something that would be valid?
Well, certainly, if you own something that you perceive to be valuable and you want to try and exploit it, and so, I mean, I've heard of companies doing that, trying to make money off of what they perceive their intellectual property to be. But interestingly enough, in a similar vein, there was an artisan baker several years ago who was dabbling in the bread making licensing business, which is similar to what you're suggesting.
Right.
And he was charging a big sum to come out and help you set up your bakery, and then a certain percentage of your sales. And one of the big deals in this process was the unveiling of the starter, the transfer of the starter, et cetera, et cetera. And a woman called me one time and told me the story of having not realized how much money was going to be involved, and thought that as a kindred spirit, this was somebody who might help her for a modest fee. And when she found out how much money was involved, she was aghast. And so she ordered some of this fellow's bread mail order, and she broke it up in bits and put it into a flour and water slurry, and within a few hours it was bubbling away with what was presumably the fabled starter from this bakery, which maybe had not been quite killed in the in the baking process.
Right.
So she felt very relieved not to have been led down the path of paying for something that really wasn't necessary to pay for.
Steve, I want to mention, because we only have about 45 seconds left for this, that you've been using organic grains for a long time now, maybe before it was fashionable throughout the rest of the country.
Well, since we began, all our whole grains have always been organic. But in 1999, we were able to switch to using organic white flour as well, and it's just part of the notion that we want to support the kind of farming that pays attention to the land and the condition of the land, just as we like to do the kind of baking whereby the bakers are paying attention to the dough and the condition of the dough.
Right. So Steve Sullivan with Acme Bread Company up in Berkeley. If you find yourself in San Francisco, there's no greater mecca for foodies than the Ferry Plaza, and you have a location there, Steve, that I've been to. Grab a loaf and you will not be disappointed. Steve Sullivan again with Acme Bread Company. It's acmebread.com. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Just ahead, we're going to a national park where bubbles are one of the main themes there. I'm your host, Randall White, and we're back in just a moment. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back shortly. Did you know our weekly Saturday morning radio show also has a video simulcast on Ustream? You can watch it live or view pre-recorded versions while on the go by simply downloading our free Eat, Drink, Explore app for your smartphone or tablet device. To find it, just head to Google Play or the Apple App Store and search Eat, Drink, Explore. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break. We will be back shortly. Get the latest audio, video, and breaking news from Eat, Drink, Explore Media by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're easy to find. The URL extension for all of those sites is simply Eat, Drink, Explore. Thank you for your patience. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly. Curious about information you've heard on today's show? Just head to eatdrinkexplore.com and head to the weekly program summary section under the radio tab. We always list the websites and any other important facts associated with each of our guests we have on the program. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly. Becky, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you. I'm going to put you back down again. Thank you for being a regular listener to the Eat, Drink, Explore radio program. If you have any feedback for us, we'd love to hear it. Simply send a note to radio@eatdrinkexplore.com. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break. We will be back shortly. Get the latest audio, video, and breaking news from Eat, Drink, Explore Media by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're easy to find. The URL extension for all of those sites is simply Eat, Drink, Explore. Thank you for your patience. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly. Curious about information you've heard on today's show? Just head to eatdrinkexplore.com and head to the weekly program summary section under the radio tab. We always list the websites and any other important facts associated with each of our guests we have on the program. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back shortly. Did you know our weekly Saturday morning radio show also has a video simulcast on Ustream? You can watch it live or view pre-recorded versions while on the go by simply downloading our free Eat, Drink, Explore app for your smartphone or tablet device. To find it, just head to Google Play or the Apple App Store and search Eat, Drink, Explore.
Welcome back to the Eat, Drink, Explore radio network. Here now is your fabulous host, Mr. Randall White.
Happy Saturday morning to you. And as always, we're glad you can join us here at Eat, Drink, Explore Radio. As you get up and get going, we are discussing all things food, wine, craft beer, travel, and tourism. And the topics for this hour are all based on something we call a compass word, with a little TM after that. Basically, trademark, the little trademark thing. Basically, we come up with a word and then brainstorm from there to find 3 topics that will be related to that word in one way or another. Our topics are, as you might expect, eat, drink, explore related. And this segment, we are tackling the explore aspect of the compass word bubble. I said earlier that we're headed to a national park where bubbles are a key feature. This could lead you to think Yellowstone, where hot sulfur water bubbles to the surface, or right here in our own backyard, maybe the Channel Islands National Park, where underwater the world of sea life is teeming with bubbles. But instead, no, we are headed to the far northeastern corner of the United States in the state of Maine, where you'll find beautiful Acadia National Park smack dab on the coast. And Ranger Becky Pritchard, who joins us now to explain why bubbles are significant there. Welcome to the show, Becky.
Hi, thank you.
And a very good, it's still morning on the Maine coast.
Just barely. Actually, it's early afternoon.
Oh, I'm sorry, 3 hours. Yeah, so you are 12:34 back there right now. And how is the weather this afternoon?
It's a little warm and hazy, but beautiful day on the coast.
Yeah, Maine is so gorgeous. I've taken that drive up from Boston, hugging the coast. I like to stop in Rye, New Hampshire, and get some delicious lobster, and then continue on up until you finally make it to beautiful Acadia. About how many visitors pass through Acadia every year?
We have over 2 million visitors a year.
Wow, and do most of those, I imagine, come from the New York, Boston area?
Yeah, a lot from the Northeast, but we do get visitors from around the world as well.
I bet. And you have some significant bubbles in the park.
That's right.
Let's start with the mountains.
Okay.
So you have a north and a south bubble.
That's right.
And I will help you out here so that you don't have to say it. The bubbles are named bubbles after anatomy, because if you look at them from a distance, they look bubble-ish.
That's true.
Bubble-ish, you might say. So,
yes.
And so then surrounding these two mountains are a number of trails and ponds that then take on the name, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, the bubbles were given the name first, and because they do look like bubbles, I suppose, north and south. And, our mountains aren't jagged here or craggy or, peaked. The glaciers really smooth things over here, so hence the look of all our mountains.
Mm-hmm.
So the bubbles got their name from that. And next to the bubbles, we have a bubble pond, which is another glacial feature. It's a nice, narrow, deep pond that you can canoe or you can ride your bike alongside. We have miles of carriage roads in the park that are great for biking.
Yeah, the carriage roads. Now, those are roads that harken back to an earlier time, right? But they have been maintained over the years and are now primarily multi-use for hiking or biking.
That's right, yeah. Hiking, biking, or carriage riding. You can still take a horse-drawn carriage ride on them.
Really?
Even today, yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. What are these mountains primarily made of? Are they granite?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, they're granite. And the granite formation here is called Cadillac granite, and that's after our tallest peak, Mount Cadillac.
Yeah, Mount Cadillac. You see it on lots of T-shirts and mugs and stuff like that in the area. And the main town is Bar Harbor, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And how would people from, say, Massachusetts pronounce that?
I guess I would say Bar Harbor.
Because on T-shirts you see Bahaba, which is pronounced Bahaba.
Bahaba, yeah.
And so because the R is often dropped.
In Maine, that's
that region, right? Bahaba. And so, so it is a coastal park. You have these beautiful mountains that come right down to the water.
Mm-hmm.
And so I imagine that the list of outdoor activities is endless.
Yeah, it is amazing. The things that people can do here in such a small national park on the coast of Maine. There's hiking, biking, which I already mentioned. People come here for rock climbing as well. On the cliffs of Acadia, and sea kayaking or taking a boat cruise with a ranger is another popular activity. Right. So there's a lot you can do. We're actually located, most of the park is located on an island, though it's easy to forget that because we're accessible by bridge, but still it's surrounded by water.
And what's the name of that island?
It's Mount Desert Island or Mount Desert Island. It doesn't matter how you pronounce it. It's
how many S's are there?
There's one S.
There's one S?
But it was named by the French, hence the pronunciation.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. So Mount, most people say Mount Desert, but it should be Mount Desert?
Well, locals, for the most part, call it Mount Desert because it's a corruption of the original French pronunciation, désert.
Oh.
But desert is fine because that is how it was spelled, and the mountaintops are pretty barren, and that's what gave it its name to begin with.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. And so you are a seasonal park. There are the seasons vary greatly in Maine, and I imagine fall is a popular time of year.
Yeah. During fall foliage, it is a beautiful time to be here. So our busy touristy season usually lasts into at least mid-October till all the fall foliage is gone, and that's when things start to quiet down here.
What are the main trees that change within the park?
Well, the maple trees, beech trees, and Oh, the birch trees. They all change color.
Yeah,
the
birch
oak trees a little bit.
If I remember, birch like turns a yellow, I think, right?
Yes. Yeah, that's right.
And those maples just are every color you can imagine: yellow, orange, red. And I've been to Maine at the end of September, and wow, I went to a place north of you. I believe it's north of you, Moosehead Lake. And I remember looking out. At one point, we were on a hike, and I thought to myself, "This might be the most beautiful thing I've ever seen." And I would have to say that might still be the case. Maine is such a gorgeous spot. Now, within the park, this bubble. How long is the Bubble Trail? If people were to, is it called the Bubble Divide?
Yeah, the Bubbles Divide Trail goes between the two mountains, the Bubbles, and that trail itself is under a mile. It's not very long, but it does give you access to both of the mountains. You can veer up and go up South Bubble or North Bubble on the other side. And our mountains are so short here that you could really hike them both in one afternoon.
Oh, what sort of change in altitude are we talking about?
The bubbles are both about 700 something feet in elevation. So,
okay, yeah, you really could.
So
do
less
both.
than 1,000 feet.
Right. There's a hill right here. Well, we call it a hill, but right here called Cerro San Luis, or a lot of locals call it Madonna Mountain. Do you know what the height of that is, Anthony? Anthony? Oh, he's got his headset on. He's not paying attention. I think it might be more than that. And it's funny because, but when you look at these there in Maine, and we are showing some pictures for people that are watching the video feed of our show, looks like a lot more than that and very dramatic.
Yes, yeah, they are very dramatic hills. And that's also thanks to the glacier that left some nice cliffs on the southern sides of the mountains and sometimes the eastern sides.
I see. Okay. And so as a national park, you have several days a year where it's free to enter. How often does that happen?
Oh, that happens 3 or 4 times a year.
Do we have one coming up?
I don't know.
I know. I can't think of one. I know we just had one not that long ago.
Yeah, we had
in
National
June.
Lands Day not too long ago.
Right.
And
but what is the entrance fee
like
now?
There would be one coming up in the fall. But the regular entrance into Acadia is $20, and that's per vehicle, not per person. And that gives you access to the park for up to a week, so you don't have to pay each time you enter the park if you're coming and going. So it's a really good deal, even when we're not free.
So my fantastic producers that I have here, Cora Adama and Patty Pyburn, our news person, both handed me notes that say the mountain I was questioning, Cerro San Luis, is about 1,300 feet. And
okay. So that's even higher. That's almost as high as Cadillac.
Yeah, and it is a beautiful place to hike, but not nearly as dramatic as what you have there in the park. Everything is, I mean, we have a great setting here, but that setting that you have at Acadia National Park is just stunning. And we also are right on the coast, the Pacific, as opposed to the Atlantic. How close are you to Canada there?
We are not too far from Canada. Actually, there used to be a ferry to take you over. Now you do have to drive up around, but you could probably do that within 5 or 6 hours.
Okay.
Of driving.
And Nova Scotia's off the coast there, right?
Yes, yeah. Nova Scotia is straight across.
Straight across, and that would be a ferry ride.
Yes, except our ferry's no longer running.
Oh, I see. Okay, and so you'd have to do it by like a private or fly, I guess, or
yeah, or just drive around the peninsula.
Yes.
You could drive.
Exactly. And so, does the park rent all sorts of things that you might need for, like, say, paddling in the ocean there?
Well, the park itself doesn't rent, but we're very close to Bar Harbor, which is a really a town that has all those amenities. You can rent a bike to take into the park, or rent a sea kayak to take a sea kayaking tour around. So there's things very close. We're unlike a lot of the national parks out west, where we're not so remote. We're surrounded by towns, and so there's a lot of things that you can do in the towns, and even. You could get lunch in the town and take it into the park with you. Yeah,
a lot of amenities right there and great food, I remember, in Bar Harbor when I was there. So, hey, Ranger Becky Pritchard with Acadia National Park, thank you so much for sharing the bubbles you have there in your park.
Well, thank you very much for having me. It's been fun.
All right, fantastic. Up next, we're talking my favorite type of bubble, the kind that flow up from the bottom of a glass of sparkling wine or champagne. In this case, it is champagne because there's a new diet named after the drink. You're listening to the Eat, Drink, Explore Radio Network live from downtown San Luis Obispo on this Saturday morning. I'm your host, Randall White, and we are back after this very short commercial break. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back shortly. Did you know our weekly Saturday morning radio show also has a video simulcast on Ustream? You can watch it live or view pre-recorded versions while on the go by simply downloading our free Eat, Drink, Explore app for your smartphone or tablet device. To find it, just head to Google Play or the Apple App Store and search Eat, Drink, Explore. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break. We will be back shortly. Get the latest audio, video, and breaking news from Eat, Drink, Explore Media by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube.
Sorry, I have that
We're easy to
talking in the
find.
background. That's
The URL extension for
okay.
all of
How do
those
you
sites is
pronounce
simply Eat, Drink,
Is it
Explore.
Alwil and Leba?
Yeah, you can just say Carrot Leba. That's fine.
Okay, so Leba.
Leba,
Thank you
yeah.
for your
I
patience.
got married, and people
The
know
Eat,
me by
Drink,
Alwil.
Explore
So.
radio show is currently in a local
Hey, your
commercial
name
break
includes
and
something
will
called
be back on the
Teodos,
air
no one can ever
shortly.
get that right, so it's just
Oh,
random,
yeah,
right?
that's
So
hard.
I fully understand. All right, Kira, we'll be up in just a little bit, okay?
Curious about information you've heard on today's show? Just head to eatdrinkexplore.com and head to the weekly program summary section under the radio tab. We always list the websites and any other important facts associated with each of our guests we have on the program. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly. Thank you for being a regular listener to the Eat, Drink, Explore radio program. If you have any feedback for us, we'd love to hear it. Simply send a note to radio@eatdrinkexplore.com. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break. We will be back shortly. Get the latest audio, video, and breaking news from Eat, Drink, Explore Media by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're easy to find. The URL extension for all of those sites is simply Eat, Drink, Explore. Thank you for your patience. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly. Curious about information you've heard on today's show? Just head to eatdrinkexplore.com and head to the weekly program summary section under the radio tab. We always list the websites and any other important facts associated with each of our guests we have on the program. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back shortly. Did you know our weekly Saturday morning radio show also has a video simulcast on Ustream? You can watch it live or view pre-recorded versions while on the go by simply downloading our free Eat, Drink, Explore app for your smartphone or tablet device. To find it, just head to Google Play or the Apple App Store and search Eat, Drink, Explore. All right, a very good Saturday morning to you, everyone. Boy, we're having a good time in the studio during the commercial breaks, just yammering, back and forth. So far, no bubbles, and we're still having a good time. Well, we've had plenty of bubbles as far as conversation is concerned on the show, because that is our compass word this hour. And if you're just joining us, you're saying compass word, huh? We've started something. It's not really new because we've been using it on the television side of things, as we've been producing a television show that's based on a compass word. But it is newly introduced this week on the show. And what we do is we pick one word. This week happens to be the word bubble. And then we schedule our guests related around that. Our first guest this hour was all about the bubbles that are produced when you're baking fantastic bread. Our guest from the last segment, the previous segment, was from Acadia National Park, where they have several bubbles, including a pond, a trail, and a couple of mountains named Bubble. And now this segment, our final segment for the second hour of the Eat, Drink, Explore radio show, is all about the bubbles you might find in Champaign and how those relate to a new diet, the Champaign diet. Kara Leba joins us. This is all her thinking. Good morning, Kara.
Hi, how are you?
Fantastic. When I saw your bubble diet on Twitter, I had to laugh out loud, and because I am dieting right now, I thought, that isn't a bad idea. Sign me up. When did you come up with this idea?
Well, I started it. Well, first of all, it's not an actual diet. I should just give that disclaimer. I wish it was. I wish we could just all drink champagne all day and be skinny, but unfortunately, it's not the way it goes.
Right.
But it started a couple of years ago. You know, a friend of mine suggested that, I start drinking champagne. I was looking for a cocktail that was light in calories. She said, oh, drink champagne. It's 100 calories in a flute.
There you go.
So, of course, I said, why not? And I noticed that when I drank it, I was like, oh, I mean, it's so fun to drink. Like,
right.
How could you not love champagne? So
It's an everyday wine, I believe.
Totally. And that's the whole thing. And people really don't see it as that. So I said, such a fun thing. Why should we reserve this for, celebrations and holidays? We should make it a part of our everyday.
Yeah, so. Champagne or sparkling wine has become somewhat reserved for special occasions, but I know, at least among my friends in the studio here, it is any time we're out. It might be something we order on the dinner menu, or when we have people over to the house. Champagne is typically, or sparkling wine, mostly the case, is something that we pop open as the starter, and then we might move to the red wines or such. But yeah, I'm in full agreement with you, and I didn't know it's 100 calories per flute. That's like a 100-calorie snack pack.
Exactly. And I would much rather have a glass of champagne than a little bag of Diet cookies. I don't know about you.
Exactly. I like that. Right, because I'm not a big fan of those Diet cookies anyway, so might as well do the champagne. Now, I did notice that you have paired, to some degree, with a location in Pasadena known as Pop Champagne Bar, and they have a champagne diet menu there.
Yes, they do. Bob Earhart is one of the owners. He saw my blog and contacted me, and he thought it was such a cool idea. And, obviously it's a champagne bar, and he has champagne on hand at all times. And he was trying to get healthy and lose weight. So, he started eating healthier and making, some light things on the menu. He worked with this chef to kind of develop some of the things off of some of my own recipes. So we collaborated. And, they have a side of the menu that's a little bit lighter, and it's paired with a glass of champagne. So it's been a hit. People are liking it.
I like that. So essentially, you reduce the calories of your meal a bit.
Yep.
We had a guest on last hour who has a new, you should check it out for sure. It's called ThinDish.com, and there's an app coming out with that as well, where you can take a picture of your food and find out how many calories are in it. It's very...
Oh, that's great.
It's fantastic. And so what he was basically saying is all the meals that they promote via the website are about 600 calories or less. Do you know where the menu items at Pop Champagne Bar fall in the calorie version?
It's somewhere around there. He actually has it listed next to the item, so I think you're able to tell when you go in there, and it's also online on their website.
Oh, good.
And Bob lost 33 pounds doing this, so it works.
Really?
Yeah.
So that is great. Instead of ordering a dessert or instead of having a big, heavy meal, you reduce the calories of your food intake and then pair that with a 100-calorie glass of champagne, and that, in essence, is your champagne diet.
Exactly. And, you're not going to have one glass every night. On the weekends, you might have a little bit more and you splurge, but it's a guideline.
Yeah, it is a good guideline. No, I like that. And according to all of the health stories that we read on a weekly basis here during our news segments at Eat, Drink, Explore Radio, time and time again, you hear 1 to 2 glasses of wine, or in this case, sparkling wine per day, is sort of for ultimate health. If you don't drink at all, or if you drink too much, that is less healthy than having 1 to 2 glasses per day.
That's what they say, and I'm going with it.
I'm going with it too. I like that. Now, you don't just have the Champagne Diet, you also have the Champagne Diary, right?
That's the blog, yes.
That's the blog. And then what sort of things do you list there?
So that's really just an extension of the whole brand, the Champagne Diet brand. And it's really not just about dieting. Obviously, it's about living your best life and celebrating everything and really accepting yourself for what you are. And, you know, I'm also a life coach, so it kind of ties into that whole theme. And it's just really about embracing life and enjoying yourself. So that's kind of what the blog does. And, you know, occasionally there are some things on the blog that are about champagne, but it's sort of this whole, like, all-encompassing sort of lifestyle.
Yeah. We need to pair up because that's pretty much what we do here. It's exactly the same. Yes, enjoying life as best we can and enjoying the wonderful things that there's food, wine, travel. There's so much for us to enjoy here in the United States. Now, on the East Coast, I know there's much more of a tendency to drink true champagne because you're that much closer to France. Here on the West Coast, we have an abundance of fantastic sparkling wines. Now, your diet is called the Champagne Diet, but how do you feel about calling a sparkling wine a champagne when it's not from that region of France? We had that discussion earlier on the show.
Yeah, I mean, I try not to because I know people are sticklers about it. I call everything bubbly. I think that's just easier and it's more fun.
And fits into our keyword.
A bottle of bubbly.
Compass word, sorry.
Yeah, exactly,
Yes.
exactly. So it just eliminates any of the, you know, the whole debate between champagne and sparkling wine. I mean, I think for me, I love a good French champagne. You know, I love a sparkling wine from California, so it's bubbly, it's fun, and for me, that's just kind of, you know, all that really counts.
Because it's such a large part of your persona, I'm wondering if you have some favorites you can share with us, either in the bargain category or maybe like the Veuves of the world.
Yeah.
Do you have, what are your go-to bubbles, right, when you go out to a nice dinner or even just a relaxing sort of sit on the couch at home?
Well, I love Moet. That's just my ultimate favorite. Just Moet, classic Moet is the best for me. If I'm going to go with the French champagne, which is a little bit more pricey, and if I'm going to a champagne bar, you know, in New York, that's probably what I'll order. But there are a ton of fun sparkling wines from California that I've been into recently. There's one called Le Grand Courtage, which is great, and it's actually a combination of French winemakers and winemakers from California who have come together to make this really delicious, fruity, light, sparkling wine. There's also another one called Bel Air Bellini, which I love. It's actually a Bellini in a bottle, so it's natural peach essence infused into sparkling wine.
Okay, our my co-host Patty Pyburn here just like lit up like a Christmas tree because
She loves it.
she takes frozen peaches, Kara, and puts them in during the summertime and puts them in her glass of sparkling wine or champagne to keep it cold and to sort of give it that peach infused essence.
Oh, that's a good idea.
It is, huh?
I'll try that this weekend.
And sometimes you can put a little splash of like a peach liqueur as well in there to give it that extra, you know, zing.
Yeah, make it a little cocktail.
Right. Exactly. Well, Kara Leba, with the Champagne Diet, we have linked all of your information to the Eat, Drink, Explore website so people can easily find it that way, and I highly recommend they follow you on Twitter as well. What's your Twitter ending?
Champagne Diet.
Champagne Diet. So
easy enough.
Yeah, easy enough. Kara, you make it a great rest of your day, okay?
Thank you so much. You guys too.
All right. So this hour was brought to you by Eberly Winery, where you will always find complimentary wine tasting located on Highway 46 East in Paso Robles. Just log on to eberlywinery.com. That is EBERLE winery.com. And you can hear all of our segments if you missed any of them from this week or even previous weeks online at eatdrinkexplore.com. Plus, we provide links to all of our guest websites like the one we just had. Don't forget to download our smartphone or tablet device apps via the Apple Store or Google Play if you have an Android device. And thank you to our show's producers, Cora Adama, Anthony Renaro, and Ricardo Teodosio, and also Mr. Curtis Cole and Nicole Powers for bringing us the news, and Patty Pyburn for anchoring it. Thank you so much to everyone who makes Eat, Drink, Explore a reality. Make it a great Saturday, everyone. We'll catch up with you next week right here, same time.